And we're thrilled to have with us Ms. Shyamani, a stellar litigator leading this session. Now, before we deep dive into the topic, let's have a quick round of introduction in the chat box so that we can get to know you guys a little better. Share your name, where you're from, and if you're a law student or a working professional. Tell us a little something about yourselves so that we can get to know the peers present here. Hi, Gopal Krishna is a law student. Aarti, who's a practicing advocate. Hi, Nirma, what do you do? Oja, who's a student. Vishal, law student. Okay, I think we have a fair mix of law students and practicing advocates, and yes, LLM students, of course. Great. Now that we know our crowd, let's look at your aspirations and goals, shall we? Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your advocacy skills? How proficient do you think you are at advocacy? Okay, 7, 8, 4. We're off to a confident start. Okay, 5, 6, 1, 5. Someone says a 10. All right. I think most of you rate yourselves as average, but we see a lot of exceptions as well today. Now, according to you, what's the biggest obstacle you're facing in growing your practice? Since most of you are fairly confident in your advocacy skills, what made you join us today? What is your biggest obstacle? First generation lawyer, client, no client. Okay, I think we see a pattern. Getting clients is the biggest concern we're seeing in the chat box. Not having proper guidance, core technicalities. Fair enough. Now, irrespective of your current level of expertise, is it your dream to build a thriving litigation practice? Drop a yes in the chat box and let's get started on that note of excitement. Yes, yep, absolutely. All right. Wonderful. I see you're all equally enthusiastic about upskilling with us, and we're excited about this session with you as well. Now, for those of you joining us for the first time, let me briefly introduce Bettering Results and the kind of courses and training we've been offering for the past 3 years. Bettering Results is a premium edtech platform where we bridge the gap between theory and practice in legal education. Since our inception, we have trained over 30,000 practicing advocates, in house counsel, senior civil servants, law students, CA, and CS professionals. We've launched more than 22 courses and workshops and have conducted over 100 master classes in various areas of law. Our main agenda is to equip you with practical legal education that directly enhances your career. We partner with practicing advocates, in-house counsels, and top-tier law firms like Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas, Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas, Indus Law, JSA, Khaitan, Trilegal, and even international law firms like WilmerHale London to bring top-notch training programs to our students. Over the past few years, we've also been trusted by various government and private organizations to provide legal training. For instance, we've been onboarded as a consultant by Labasana, the prestigious IAS training academy in Missouri, where we curated training programs on contract drafting, arbitration, and more for IAS officers. We've also provided legal training to senior civil servants from various ministries across the country. Now, we are the only legal education platform doing this in the industry. We've also provided training for law officers in PSUs, including a recent arbitration training for the Power Grid Corporation under the Ministry of Power, Government of India. Our corporate training programs also extend to companies like Thermax Limited and the legal teams of Hindalco, Cash Free Payments, Adani Group, and others. Additionally, apart from the corporate and PSU training, we've been trusted by various law schools in the country, including the top national law school, NLSIU Bangalore, to conduct practical training workshops. In summary, Bettering Results is dedicated to imparting practical legal education through various courses, master classes, and workshops, both in the online and offline modes, which is what brings us together today. Now, before we begin the session, here are a few things for you to keep in mind. The dedicated Q&A session will be held towards the end of the webinar. Hence, we suggest you type out your questions on a Word document or a note-taking device as we go through the session so that you can quickly post the questions when they get taken up. This also ensures that your questions don't get lost in the flood of messages that we get in the chat box. During the course of the session, we also have some very special bonuses that will be revealed. So stay till the end, pay close attention, and your patience will be amply rewarded. Now let's get back to today's masterclass. Today we're honored to have with us Ms. Shreya Maini, who is an AOR at the Supreme Court of India. She is an alumna of GNLU and the University of Oxford, where she pursued a Bachelor of Civil Laws program on a full scholarship sponsored by senior advocate Harish Salve. She's also a recipient of the Oxford Global Justice Award 2015 for Public International Law. She has assisted the President Judge of the International Residual Mechanism for the Criminal Tribunals at Hague. She currently practices at the Supreme Court of India, the Delhi High Court, and the District Courts at New Delhi and specializes in cross border dispute resolution alongside civil, criminal, and matrimonial litigation. She is also a visiting faculty for international criminal law at National Law University, Delhi, and a professor of practice at Lloyd Law College. We're truly privileged to have you with us today, ma'am, and now over to you.
Thank you, Nirsha. Big thank you and a big warm welcome to all of you. I think it's always surreal for me to speak to all of you over a weekend. And today is extremely fatiguing a day for me also because I had a 3 hour session in the morning teaching BNSS, but that went interestingly very well. And a very good evening to all of you. Thank you. I see a flurry of messages in the chat box, and it's always good to see you guys too. Before we actually break this pattern of the long standing Diwali break that we've been enjoying for several days, and I think I've also been taking it a bit easy, reading, relaxing a bit. I think today is a fantastic dive into what's coming in store for you. It's a beautiful profession. We've all been living it for around 13 years now, for instance, me. And I think I can just share with you all that I have walked through and probably also lead you to a situation where you can make your own choices. So today's class is going to be a suggestive talk, which I'm going to give you for the path that I have followed. It's worked decently well for me. So I can say there's a 78 to 80% accuracy that it's going to work for you as well. Feel free to pick up whatever you would want out of the pointers, because when the topic was given to me for today, I thought it's going to be very interesting that we're talking about my journey essentially. Everything that has probably found place in today's session is a snippet from my journey as well. So I think this is interesting because it's a tried and tested method. It's worked for me. And I think at least 80% of the things can work for you if you follow it from the start to the end. Okay, so get your pens and papers ready. I'm going to tell you again 10 pointers in today's class for how to build a practice, how to retain clients, what key focal areas of practice are you going to look at with 2025 coming in. Okay, so lots of material that I'm going to discuss today, and this is going to be general pointers which you have to keep at the back of your mind like a halo all through the years of your practice, because whenever you're practicing at length in a criminal practice, in a civil law practice, or on the corporate or the commercial side, you'll have to keep all of this information at the back of your mind because you don't know where you will have to pull out a card and use it, right? So this is information which you must keep very carefully in a notebook, which you must have for yourself. Okay, if anyone can't see the note, video note, etc., or the thumbnail, please log out and log in. Sometimes we can have technology playing the bane that it does instead of a boon. So yes, just catch up with lost calls. Okay, so the first pointer for today is legal skill and knowledge. Okay, how to build that practice. The first step, lots of you said we don't get clients. Oh, it's a big task. Many of you were confident with a drafting style. No, you need to upscale to a level where you have worked with a lawyer or interned with a lawyer sufficient enough to give you a PPO, a pre-placement offer, where you are that good that you are irreplaceable at your spot. How do you make yourself irreplaceable? The easiest way to do that is work with a law firm, work with a lawyer who's actively into practice. Look for a chambers, not for money, unless and until there's a money crunch in the family or you're sustaining yourself. Please understand that in a litigation career, money shouldn't be your prime focus for the first 3 years. If you have that kind of luxury, venture into this field. Otherwise, I would say pull out and probably start from corporate and maybe make a lateral shift later. Okay, so these are some odds. You have to personally see what works for you. So I'm pretty much putting my cards on the table. You can literally take whatever fits your bill, right? So the first thing that's important is building legal knowledge and skill and obtaining that legal information which you need to impress your client with. Now, this doesn't come from a shortcut. This has to be lived through. So you have to probably intern at a law office or a law chamber, which is doing the kind of practice that it is, going into courts, client facing, getting the briefs, strategizing the briefs, what to file, where to file, how to file. E-filing is a process now. E-filing can earn you so much money now in the profession. There are so many people who are engaging into this kind of practice. So very interesting domain. As an advocate on record, when I passed the exam in 2019, it was an excellent time for me because COVID had just struck. So everyone was out of work. But I had a flurry of work in my chambers at that point in time, which literally boomed my career like anything. The moment COVID struck, my career took a literally a takeoff. Why? Because I'd just become an AOR. I was someone who was very savvy with drafting and filing. As a chamber, we'd learned e-filing with the High Court rules. So it was so easy for me to migrate to a Supreme Court e-filing when most of the senior AORs were e-filing at that time. So you have to look for what works for you. So I would say go to a chamber which is actively involved with, say, PMLA, ED work, civil law works, property works, criminal law, engaging into such kind of practice, commercial law, because right now you need to gain knowledge of all subjects that are there. It's like you're a fish in the ocean. You will literally have to go to every nook and corner and see where is what. And then you assess where you want to swim, whatever suits your bill. Okay? So, very interesting first step that you need to take towards this road is building that legal base, that legal knowledge. Now, how do you build this legal base or legal knowledge? The first thing you should do is identify a chamber, like I said, or a law office where you can start, where you can probably go, make an application, and learn the law. Learn how those drafts work, okay? You're going to use the drafts, but you need to know which draft to pick up from. There is this reservoir of drafts, but which one to pick from? So that is also a skill, an art, which will come with experience and practice and as many cases that you encounter. They say a doctor studies before and then operates. A lawyer doesn't study, he relaxes through the law school. Then, when he becomes a lawyer, he gets the law degree, he gets different case laws, he ends up studying. So, very interestingly, every time in the chamber there's a new case with a new field of law, you'll end up learning something new. And that's your starting point. First generation, second generation, whatever. If you're not pressed for money or if you don't have to feed mouths back at home, I think it's an excellent spot to start from. So work under a good lawyer for about at least 3 to 5 years. Okay, at least 3 to 5 years. You have to learn the law. This is your roadmap that you're building. Okay, in that 3 to 5 years, you will also start getting clients slowly. So within the first 6 months, you'll realize people have started coming to you because your talks are going to make sense. Now, if you bring a client to me, how you deal with the client and how I deal with the client is very different. And perhaps how my father would deal with the client is very different because experience you can't map, but legal knowledge you can. And that will come with that limited experience that the chamber practice will give you. Okay. So, the first and foremost point is as an independent lawyer to build your own independent practice, work under a good chamber practice or a lawyer where you can, after you register with the concerned bar council, wherever your state bar council is, register there on the rolls of the bar council once you become a lawyer immediately after passing out of law school and join a law chamber. That's the first starting or the little crevice of the door that you need to stick your foot into. Once you stick your foot in there, then comes the next step because now you know you're in that corridor where even the walls speak. Diware bolti hai. So the moment you actually go inside that corridor, you'll realize what your interests are you cut out for a practice? It's very strenuous. It's very, very client facing and people and socially engaging. Are you okay interacting with that many people? For instance, I'll give you an example. When I was out of law school, I was very social. I was very, very social. But now, after 13 years, if you ask me, I meet so many people in the day because of my practice. I'm meeting so many clients. I'm talking continuously on the phone. I don't want to speak to anyone after 7. I don't want to meet people. I'm totally introvert now, I feel, after 7 o'clock. At work, I'm a very different person. So So this is how your personality with age will grow. It'll adapt to the nuances of your profession, and that will also help your profession grow. So the first point for today is anything when it comes to jurisdiction, when it comes to building little pointers of what you're going to look at when you're dealing with a civil litigation. I did a very interesting class yesterday with bettering results where we talked about, it was a very interesting topic, they gave it to me for the first time, understanding different types of civil disputes. So yesterday we were looking at different, so we all of civil disputes they categorized into 5 categories. So yesterday I taught for 15 minutes how will you deal with a matrimonial case client? What questions will you ask? So I gave them 5 questions. Property related dispute, what 5 questions you'll ask the client so that it's a cent% success that you'll land up the brief. Now all of this, that hands-on chamber practice will teach you. Right? Because when you will go there, you will understand what kind of questions your senior is asking the client. Even if you ask 5 out of those 10 questions, you'll land the brief. You'll get clients. And once you do the cases of those clients well, win for them, you're going to recycle clients. You're going to effectively build a chain of networks for yourself, and more clients will walk in by word of mouth and good work. Past history will speak for you then. But to build this wheel, it's a wheel which is set in motion. It takes about good 2 to 3 years. Is it clear to everybody? Quick thumbs up on the screen or a quick yes in the chat box so that I know you're with me. I'm going to my next pointer for today. My second pointer for today. Now you've identified a law chamber. You know a law office which is doing trial, appellate, which is going to Supreme Court. For instance, we do all 3 fora. I will go to a Saket court. I will go to the High Court. I will also do a Supreme Court. I will do a PMLA, a Rouse Avenue. I will go to the NCLT. I will also lodge a police complaint. I will also teach. So it's all over the place. You're doing everything that's legally related to you, right? You don't want to lose touch because BNSS and BNS have walked in, BSA has walked in. Trial is at its best right now. Appeals are at their best. Writ is at their best. Revisions are at their best. There's so much happening. Supreme Court has developed individual jurisdictions. IP litigation has come up. AI has come up. There's so much digitally that has improved. Okay, so there's so many domains to work in. Arbitration. I recently just finished the course on mediation training. I had a 40-hour course last to last month. I myself trained for the mediator training. I'm a certified mediator now. So you upscale yourself. So now I do mediations. I was appointed arbitrator last to last month by the Honorable Delhi High Court. So I do arbitrations now. I started as a criminal lawyer, but I'm now also diversifying. This is what you have to learn. Everything that comes on your table, you have to catch it. Okay? Counseling is a little milder version. Counseling is not something we as lawyers look at. I think that's a therapist's job. But every lawyer is a counselor in effect because you're listening to people's problems and solving them. The only difference is you're not solving them emotionally, you're solving them with logic and so it's legal logic, it's legal knowledge which you're upscaling to solve, to give solutions to those questions that the client is asking you. And if you can't legally answer that question, trust me, the client will not hand over the brief to you. Okay? Right. Whatever questions you have, just keep punching it down. I'll take it at the end. And you can just keep writing it on your Word doc like Neerja said. Otherwise, it'll get lost in a flurry of questions because I think I keep interacting. So all of you do respond. Okay? So of course, speciality or creation of niche is important, but for you also, you must important. If you keep practicing the same thing for 10 years or 8 years, you're going to get saturated. You do want variety. Okay. So I do specialize in criminal law, but I also want to arbitrate. Why? Because now we're looking at a situation where civil and criminal law is interdisciplinary. Okay, Oja sir, it's not standing in segregation. It's not standing alone. So for instance, if I have a civil dispute, if I have a property dispute, if I have good legal knowledge overall, I'll probably involve a criminal case and get the civil case settled in my favor much faster. So it helps my client. So there are techniques that you have to build from that chamber practice. That's what a good senior will teach you. So identify a good chamber. Now you've identified a good chamber. I'm coming to my second pointer for today. A strong online presence. Very, very important. I can't stress more or less on this. Anytime you have to build a practice, please do not go in for social media for it to be used for reels. I would say share whatever you feel like, have an authentic profile, but also share legal snippets there. Have some sort of an online presence. Have a website which is user friendly. You don't have to advertise, that's not allowed, but have a simple website which probably just puts out the practice areas, gives your name and your number. A domain name is very cheap to purchase. You can purchase one, it's 1500 rupees a year. So it's not at all expensive, okay? The cheapest domain name. And just take that, build a website. You can do that at your own level with AI. Just one of the days, if you're sitting khali free, do this. Make a website for yourself. Number two, LinkedIn. Have a very strong profile presence there where you're posting things, some new webinar someone is doing, you want to spread the knowledge. This is the only way you're going to make connections, okay? People will not respond instantly. It's a slow gradation. Publish, blog it out. Look for a blog publication, okay? So you can look for different kinds of mediums to make your online presence felt strong, okay? For instance, I have a blog called The Witness Stand, which we were operating. An intern had actually started that in 2017-18, if I remember. And then another intern came about after 5 6 years. I didn't have the time. She actually rebuilt the blog. So now we're actually redoing the blog in 2026, 2025, 2026. We'll have the blog up and ready. So, very interestingly, if you don't have a publication, a journal, an ISSN journal, which is willing to publish your article, just blog it out. It's so simple, right? And have that kind of zest for the law. It's a beautiful field. It's so enjoyable. Trust me, the kind of money that it gives you after 10 years, it's so satisfying, guys. Trust me. I'm telling you, it's a wheel that's once set into motion, and if you're good, money flows in. So for anyone who says as a litigating lawyer there's no money, no, there is ample of money. No other profession will pay you this much money. But you have to keep patient, and you have to be damn bloody good at your job, which will come with practice, which will come with experience. Okay? Great, fantastic. I'm coming to third pointer for today. Ask for work. Very important. You have to sell yourself without actually selling yourself. You have to go to a market where you have to pitch for yourself without selling yourself. You must have a visiting card printed. Have a simple visiting card. I'm showing you a sample. Okay, so that's my visiting card. Now it's fairly simple. It gives my name. It's inverted so you can see. It says I'm an advocate on record. It says that I'm working at the Supreme Court of India, and then it says my degrees. So another very good exercise is have a short visiting card. I know it's ancient, I know it's archaic, and now we have WhatsApp, but nobody remembers. Ultimately, even if someone throws this, they will remember your name. They will remember your presence. Tomorrow, if there's a Supreme Court matter, they might call you or they might look for you on Google. Okay, Vaishnavi, thank you for the compliments. I'll again show it to the class if it's blurry. You can now see it. Okay, it's fairly simple. It gives my college, my degree, my awards, which I'm sure many of you might have had gold medals from your college. Excellent thing to write. Please publish it. Pitch yourself. Sell yourself. Okay, so you can't not sell yourself. If you don't sell yourself, someone else will better than you. It's like Shark Tank. You have to go and impress people out there without selling yourself. Okay. So I would say ask for work, add people online. Every day I get messages on LinkedIn, I get emails, and sometimes there are follow-up emails. No, having a visiting card is not it's considered give your information to someone. That's completely fine. You're sharing information instead of WhatsApping it or giving your number by writing it. Yes, if you start going and distributing to people's houses like a pamphlet, that's advertised. That's not allowed. But if someone asks for your contact details and you give your visiting card, that's fine. That's completely okay. It's sharing your contactual information, which is fair, which is absolutely fine. As long as you're not on a public domain publishing it. Yes, if I publish this visiting card in the newspaper, it's not allowed. You can't do that. Right? Okay. Come back to this. Forget about me publishing or not. Okay. Yeah. So ask for work. And there's no harm. You can just message someone, a litigator. So many times I get messages saying, ma'am, if there's any kind of drafting that I can be given. In fact, we had a wonderful intern, Sahil. He left last week for his law school. He's in the 5th year. He was so happy working with us for 30 days. He said, I'm going to go back and then I'll continue working through college. So he does a research for me daily. One research he gives me. So he calls me up literally daily. Ma'am, is it a good time? And I tell him yes. And he says, any research from the office? And I literally tell him the proposition in 2 minutes. He researches and by the night I have a judgment. So I know that he's going to come back and he's going to join the chambers at some point in time. So this is how you build the rapport. He asks for work. Okay, every day I get a message, literally every day. So he's keeping himself relevant. You have to find new techniques to do that. That's third point for today. You have to ask for work. You have to go out and pitch yourself and ask for work. My law college distributes calendar to students. Can I do the same after I become a lawyer? A lot of people distributes calendars during bar elections with their faces and thumbnails printed. I would avoid it. I would say don't do it. It tantamounts to indirect advertising unless you're doing it for the election process at the start of a new year. That's different because then all your co-contestants are. Otherwise, please don't engage in such practices. Let your work speak, sir. Focus on learning the law rather than distributing calendars. Okay? Come back to this now, guys. Right. So the third point was ask for work. There's no harm. You're new in the profession, you have zest to learn. Absolutely, कोई शर्म नहीं है काम मांगने में. सब मांगते हैं in the starting years. मैंने मांगा है काम. I have gone up to seniors, given my visiting card, and said, I want work. I want to draft. And I've drafted for free many petitions. It's given me knowledge. It's given me drafts. It's given me so much. Yes, it's literally that. Okay, you have to be besharam and you have to ask for work because every brief will teach you something new. Even if that brief doesn't give you money, even if that brief doesn't give you a winning case, it will teach you for your next brief how you're going to do. I always give this example with a very interesting way. I remember I was quite upset my first year of law practice. I'd come back freshly from Oxford and I had a very dewy eye pictured of how practice looks like because I'd come from a foreign jurisdiction and I'd landed up in Saket courts. My father had pushed me to Saket courts. I used to go alone every day and come back. I was learning trial and my first 3 years, almost 2.5 to 3 years, I only did trial court. I was not allowed to come to the High Court or the Supreme Court, mind you. So every day I had trial court. Now, one of the days I'd taken an auto and I was coming to the Sai Baba Mandir. I remember I was very upset. I wanted to go to the temple. I was fairly religious then. Now I'm not. So then at that point in time, there was an auto driver. His name is Madan Mohan. He was my first case, my first brief. He dropped me. I was in uniform. And he said, "Ma'am, मेरा केस कर देंगी?" I said, "Yes." And I said, "आप फीस दोगे?" He said, "हाँ, मैं आपको 500 रुपए दूंगा, 500 rupees per hearing." Till date, Madan Mohan's hit and run case, I've gotten the defense evidence open now. It's a very interesting hit and run case. 500 rupees he pays me till date per hearing. Even if I have a Supreme Court matter, he insists that I come or he holds out the hearing for the day. Even until 4, I have to finish my Supreme Court work and come for him. I will do the hearing and then only he will rest in peace. It's my first case of my life, my entire legal career, so I'm also superstitious about it. Till date, I do his matter. I didn't charge him anything except for 500 rupees per hearing. But my next brief that I landed was a very interesting brief. It was an architect who unfortunately had a young boy jump in from the bushes. And the boy was killed. It was a 304A rash and negligent driving that he was charged with, this architect. And we got this proper case. Now, this case, I charged a heavy fee because I'd become a lawyer. It came around 6 years of practice into. My father was also there. So we had a good amount of fee walking in. Now, fortunately, I was already doing Madan Mohan's case, and that was a gone case. It was a spoiled brief. And I was moving ahead in that brief. So everything that would happen in Madan Mohan, this case that I got later was one step behind. So I would pretty much know what's happening. So even though Madan Mohan didn't give me anything except for 500 rupees, which didn't even have my petrol for the day come out of it, but so much legal knowledge and skill came out that I made lakhs in the other brief that followed subsequently. So you don't know what kind of matters are waiting in the chest for you in your practice years. Grab any brief. Ask for all kinds of work by both hands. Okay, very important. It'll teach you something or the other for sure. Okay, next. Okay, so like I said, screen presence is important, website is important, LinkedIn is important, emailing is important, internships are important. Screen presence, online presence, you have to be there. जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. Okay, it's literally that. If you're good, people are going to come back to you. Woman, man, aged, 30 years, 35 years, 70 years. They're going to trust you and they're going to come back to you. Okay, so young, old, everything else dilutes. You're as good as a lawyer who's 75 years old standing in court. Once you get to court and you wear the robe, once you wear the crown, you are equal age in a 70-year-old man. You're presumed to know the law as a lawyer. Okay, so everything that I've said today follows. Next, point number 5, very important, clear and frequent communication. Build your communication skills for any kind of client retention. To get clients, how do you get clients? It's a word of mouth. It's how well you word yourself. So excellent communication skills are prime to becoming a good lawyer. You can't become a good lawyer or an excellent lawyer. You can become a lawyer, that's fine. Lots of solicitors in the business, lots of lawyers in the business, but you can't be a good litigator, a good arguing counsel, until and unless you're accessible, you're available, you say the truth, you speak clearly, you're precise, you're concise, and you know what you're speaking. And whatever before this I have said builds the base for communication. How? Good legal knowledge. I'm going to make sense. If I'm talking about 173 BNSS, about lodging of FIRs, I will tell you what a preliminary inquiry requires. Is there a change in BNSS? Has there been an amendment? How is it distinct from CRPC? So, whatever legal knowledge I have acquired, I'm going to spin that and I'm going to narrate a story out of it. So, a good communicator, a good storyteller, someone who can talk in both the languages fluently, and someone who has good communication skills. Even if I'm saying it so brutally, even if nothing is practiced before a mirror. I remember I would practice my moot court for hours before a mirror, before I would actually go for it. It is so necessary to have frequent, fluent, fantastic communication skills. I can't stress more. Okay, very important. Is one of the attributes, one of the criteria. No, it is one of the most important criteria. Why? Why? Because it's the first impression that the client makes of you. When he walks in from that door, right from your handshake to how you look your appearance, first non-verbal communication. All this is how you meet, non-verbal, right? How you meet, how you greet, how fists are actually interlocking, how strong is the handshake, how convincing your appearance is as a good lawyer. All of this is great, okay? So non-verbal appearance, okay, but verbal appearance is your first way to literally hook your client onto you. It's like that guy who's sitting by the sea. He has a fishing net. There's lots of fish in the sea. He has to find one. That one client is your first bait. Okay? He'll teach you how to fish. If you just sit there patiently, throw the fishing net and wait for the bait. But like I said, the bait also has to fall within the net. Okay? So these are certain techniques that we use. Okay, could you repeat the fourth point? I am so glad you asked me this, but I'm sorry, I don't have pointers written. I just have words written. So if someone can just put down all the pointers here, I'll just repeat what we've done till the fifth point. Okay. Fourth was ask for work, apparently, Maria. Okay. Ask for work. There's no harm in literally writing to people, whether it's over email, LinkedIn, asking for work. Say that you're available for any kind of drafting, you're available for any kind of legal research, and you would love to pitch in. And I think this kind of even informal conversation, requesting someone over a WhatsApp or a LinkedIn with excellent communication skills can actually go a long way, right? Social media account is also great. You can share about your legal studies, etc., and all of that, right? Great. Okay, next. Very important point number 6, maintain a diary. Okay, a diary. Okay, let me show you what I do. I'm not sure if I have it right here with me. I had to show you, but it's not here. I've just packed it up. I have a monthly planner, I have a weekly planner, and I have a daily planner. So my yearly planner is split. I exactly know until next July or August how my days are planned. So you have to be extremely meticulous to plan, because as a lawyer, you must know that on 12th of August, I'm going to be attending this webinar. On 3rd of May, there is a legal ceremony of convocation of ex college. I'm going to go there and meet people there. So you have to have a good weekly, monthly, and yearly planner. It really pays off. It really helps. Okay. So this kind of a diary and record keeping and file keeping. So diary is not just about maintaining dates. It's also going to teach you the discipline to maintain records, to maintain email communication, to have files, to have follow-ups. Okay. So everything is in an electronic file and a hard copy maintained like that. For instance, I'll show you, for instance, let me share the screen and show you this. It's very interesting. Watch the screen. So on your screens, if you see, I'm going to share my screen with you for a second. Okay, look at this now. So this is a matter where I'm the arbitrator. So this is my first letter, letter number 1, which I've sent to the arbitrator. Okay, you'll see it open up in a second. So this is my first letter. Okay, I've written to the parties. Now this is my letter number 1. Now I go to letter number 2. I matter as an arbitrator, and no objection from the parties has been called that I don't know the parties personally. Then I've written a third letter as arbitrator. This is my third letter. So this is record maintaining. So this is where I've written a third letter to the claimant and the respondent, and I've called for the statement of claim. Okay. Then comes my fourth letter on 26th of September, which is a procedural order. So I've convened the hearing and I presided over the hearing as an arbitrator. And then as a sole arbitrator, this is what I did. And finally, I've signed my proceedings, okay, on this particular date. This is what I did, right? Then again, letter number 5, something different. I reconvened the hearing, okay? I wasn't available, so I changed the date of hearing. So this is my letter number 5. My letter number 5. So this is how you maintain records, guys. Okay? Screen was visible, I hope. Could you all see it? Quick yes in the chat tab. Someone said screen wasn't visible. Yes. Okay. Some of you could. Maybe you're from the handheld. So yes. Great. Fantastic. So you maintain a record to that extent. Now, if anyone asks me, can you tell us what letters have you written? So I have the rough drafts and I have a final PDF for each. And I've written letter number 1, 2, 3, 4. So record keeping is essential. So start from the beginning. Your first year of practice, have a folder. For instance, I'll show you. Let me show you another thing, which I do very often. It can work for you also. Okay, let me show you this. I will show you my, so this is an e-filing folder that I have. So these are the number of the files. If you see very carefully, these are my file numbers, okay? 280, 310, 600, 601. These match the hard copy file numbers. So if you go back to the office area and if you look for file 604, you will find Jayaram's SLP there. And 604 parallel data is here. So you don't need to be in a big firm setup. You can literally be in your computer desk with that little laptop of yours and you can start an office from there. You don't need swanky rooms. You don't need to invest in heavy rentals. It's literally building a business like an entrepreneur from your one printer, your one desktop, and you're good to go. As long as you're doing all these things, please don't waste money investing in swanky offices. I find it preposterous. People do it in the first 2 years, 3 years. Please have the kind of legal knowledge, the legal prowess. Someone who believes in your work will, barring all of this, walk in and give you work. And that's what matters because that guy will recycle clients for you. Not someone who's probably impressed by an office surrounding because you won't be able to perform his work. It's not going to help. Right? So, very interesting domain there. Sixth, stay updated. Very important for today's session. Stay updated. You have to read the newspaper daily. You have to subscribe to a good legal newspaper, preferably hard copy. Simple tarika, hard copy newspaper, rose pado, ample material in the newspaper. Not just legal information. Manupatra is great, but it's again boring, right? You wouldn't want to read judgments like this. If I tell you read 2 judgments a day, you'll probably find it like a task. You'd say it's very boring. I'm not engaging into this exercise. But if I tell you, no, read a newspaper, it's interesting. There's a crossword puzzle in there. There's an editorial page in there. There's something political about Bihar elections happening. So anything, legal newspaper is great, but I would say read a newspaper that holistically also helps you make conversation. I'll tell you this, when I went out to Oxford, you know what I realized? Indian students were great nerds, but they were not able to sustain conversations in corridors. And that's something you need to pick on. So you need to have, Hindu is too technical. I think you would just go with an HT or Times of India. It's easier. Indian Express and Hindu are technical. They're tougher. Indian Express is also okay actually. It's actually decent as well. It's neutral, but you can pick anything. I mean, it doesn't matter. Hindu I wouldn't go for. It's a little too technical. I would go for HT, TOI or Indian Express is also fine. That's also okay. But have content topic, have an opinion on Trump, have an opinion on the Delhi chief minister, have an opinion. Lawyers are all about debates and opinions and deliberations. We challenge opinions, right? How do we form a written statement? हम WS कैसे बनाते हैं? हम plaint में गलती ढूंढते हैं. We look for mistakes in the plaint. We have to deny what's in the plaint. Or we break down the FIR to file a bail application. We break down a charge sheet. How do we build that debate, deliberative attitude? The best way is to read arguments and counter arguments in a newspaper. Simplest way. I'll tell you what I do. I'll show you an example. So, very interestingly, the Waqf Act had come out, and I was very curious about it. I was reading about it a lot, and this is what I did. I cut out everything about the Waqf that was in the newspapers. Worked pretty well for me. I had an opinion on the Waqf, and I wrote in an article. Very interestingly, this was all of HT snippets out of Waqf Act, just out of interest, nothing decoding. This was someone's editorial on how they view the Waqf Amendment Bill. So interesting domain there, right? Just out of sheer interest. So see what works for you, see what you like doing. And I think more than legal newspapers, just subscribe to a normal newspaper, Hindi, English, whatever you like reading. I would suggest English because it'll also help you develop communication skills. Next, so this will help you with current legal news. For instance, I realized the other day that not many people know this. Consumer Protection Act, you have to file a reply within 30 days. It's sacrosanct. There's no concept of condonation of delay. So if someone has charged you under the Consumer Protection Act or filed a consumer complaint before the commission, you don't reply in 30 days, even on the 31st day. It's non-condolable, the delay by the Supreme Court also. There's a judgment that came about. No one knew about it, and people were unfortunately getting into a zone where the defense was struck off. Nobody knew. So very interesting things. Updating with the law is important. Okay. Next, go to court. I can't stress more on this. People don't go to courts nowadays. Don't delegate. You don't need people to do the work for you. Do it yourself. The more you do the work yourself, even if you make an index yourself, you'll be able to very easily argue the matter. Till date, very interestingly, I till date check every draft that goes out of my office. Every draft. Even if it's an exemption application, I check it. My last check is always there because my name is going in the filing. I have to check it. And most of the times, I will always find a mistake. Even if I draft, I'll find a mistake again because it's human to err. To err is human. So you will almost find a change. My grandpa used to say this, he's no more, but he used to say, read, read, reread, reread, reread. You will always fish out a mistake, a new take, a new approach, because it's very normal. You will find something new, right? Today you're thinking like this. Today I'm upset. I may not find it very interesting. Tomorrow I may be in a good mood and I may have a very fresh breath of air to look at this draft. So never do things in urgency. Plan so much that you have enough time for each draft to dedicate yourself to. The better you draft, I can't discount this anymore. Please know this, boys, girls, anyone, ladies, gentlemen who are hearing me today. You have to draft flawlessly because judges are reading today. The law has changed. Lawyering as a technique has changed, guys. They read 80% of the times from inside and come, and they have a predetermined judicial mind. So if you've drafted well, out of 10 marks, you already have 7 in your kitty. You barely need just 3 marks. You've passed. You need just 3 marks for a notice. You don't even need a senior, guys. If you're decent, you have a good case, dipped with legal knowledge, excellent communication skills, and you've drafted well, you don't need a senior advocate. You can argue, you can draft, you can do everything yourself. Make the money, put it in your pocket. The client will be happy to pay you. Even if it's 50,000 and not 3 lakh rupees, you have not acted as an agent or a tout. You have worked hard, built the client, retained the client who will bring other clients to you. Very interesting. I'm telling you something which you must keep to your chest for life. The lesser you delegate, the more work you will get. The more you delegate, the less you will get in terms of work falling in your kitty. Trust me, I've seen it happen. Literally. Next. So go to court, make your presence, have an online presence, build your network, ask for work. Everything that I've said sort of falls in place. Have a good appearance, have a neat and clean appearance. Be there, okay? Rosters keep changing, new judges are coming in, what court is looking at what kind of matters. It will teach you a lot about territorial jurisdiction, lots of things you learn, whether it's the trial court or the high court. I would always suggest going to trial court first, then high court, then Supreme Court. This is always a gradation you should follow. At least 2 to 3 years spend in the trial courts, civil and criminal both. Build a base. Have an interest area. I started with criminal. Now I do a fair bit of civil because I've started understanding it. And trust me, once you start practicing the law, it's interdisciplinary. Anyone who says, I'm a civil lawyer, I'm a criminal lawyer, is literally crapping you. A lawyer has to practice all domains of law because everything is connected. It is connected. As much as you may think it's not, it is connected. And you're not going to lose briefs. Tomorrow, if I have a good criminal law client and he has a property matter, if I don't do civil cases, I'll have to pass it on to someone. But if I do property matters, he will like to give his case to me because I'm handling his bails. So, very interesting thing. Best way to retain clients, to build a good clientele and then retain that elite clientele. Also, NCLT practice, a great field right now. National Company Law Tribunal, Insolvency Companies Act for proprietors, companies. It's coming up. Most of the people are entrepreneurs today. They're starting their own businesses. Most of them LLPs. Most of them have disputes, and all of that goes to a National Company Law Tribunal. Well paying, equally monetarily coveted practice. It's also a practice which is completely law based, totally legal knowledge based, which is new. Insolvency Bankruptcy Code 2016. So it's a fairly new law. Everyone's new to it. You'll enjoy. Companies Act 2013. Everyone's new to it. There are massive changes. Okay, and NCLT, NCLAT, and then Supreme Court. So that's another parallel route to take. Very interestingly, corporate litigation, mix of both. You go to court, but you're going for company law matters. Very interesting, right? Okay, next point number 8, confidentiality. For any independent practice, you have to never discuss client names. Okay, you don't have to discuss fee amount. Okay, I gave you a very paltry example, but if I talk to you about exactly how much of retainer I take, or how much of money do I make per matter, or what is my legal fee, no, it's a clear, strict no, no. No client should be disclosing that information out of the four walls. And as a lawyer, you shouldn't, because you're bound by attorney client privilege. You must not disclose any kind of information across. Don't share files, don't share drafts, nothing until and unless you probably are very, very sure that it's an intern or a legal I don't know, junior in your office, then you could probably pass on a draft, but be very careful that you warn them or you have an NDA agreement, a non disclosure agreement, a rough one that they sign with you at the time of appointment. Next, do not impress the judge, impress the client. Very, very important tip as a litigator. Absolutely important. Your lawyering is client is king. But this doesn't mean you go out of the four corners of the law. You have to follow the law. You have to also be polite and gentle to the judge. But your job is not to please the judge. It's an adversarial litigation. You're fighting up against the judge, literally, convincing him. But if you draft well, this is why I said that verbal battle or that verbal duel, chances of that reduce. So you can now dedicate yourself to your client, and your client sees you arguing. So many times the client tells me, ma'am, it's okay, I lost the case. You argued very well. We'll file an appeal. I want you to continue. Many times it's happened with me. 80% of the times people have not changed the lawyer. We've gone an appeal and we've won. It's been a reversal. People have had faith. Why? Because I built that faith. There was client retention there. Okay? Emotions matter while arguing in court, but not emotions to the sense that you start crying. But it doesn't mean you can start raising your voice and shouting. You have to have a very controlled technique. Pauses. It's voice modulation to the extent of where you will pause. There's a script. How will you start? What will you argue thereafter? Usually, if you've drafted the petition, you will find it substantially easy to argue. Why? Because you'll know. First, I have to say this is a petition seeking quashing off FIR number so and so. In police station case, FIR number so and so, in PS so and so, registered on dated so and so. I appear for the petitioner herein. This is a false case since inception because, and then the grounds of the quashing. Hence, I pray for quashing. As simple. These are arguments for a quashing. If you pay a senior 3 lakh rupees, he'll literally say the same thing. If you have a good draft, you don't need him there. You can literally say it yourself. Right? This is what I'm trying to explain. This is how you build that independent practice. Otherwise, you'll always be junior to someone. But the best way is that you join a chamber, learn the law, and then grow out from there. Or get the cases, build a practice with them. We have so many juniors who are also doing their own matters now, and they keep bringing cases that, ma'am, no, this one you argue well, you argue this one for me, I'll do the drafting, you argue this one. So many times they do this. We share a bit of the fee, they build the matter, they strategize the matter, they get the client, because the client obviously wants someone with experience. I do the drafting at times if they want a elevated draft. If the junior wants me to vet it, I do see the draft, and thereafter I go and argue. So many people are associated in such a way. So find out ways that work for you. There's so much work in the market, guys. You will never be out of work, especially as an advocate on record chamber. There are only 11,000 advocate on records who are practicing in the country. Imagine, out of this country of X crore billion people, only 11,000 advocates on record who go to the Supreme Court daily. You will always have work. Okay? Right. Now, last but not the least, I want to give you key skills, okay, that every litigator must own. What are those key skills? So I'll give you 5 skills, okay, that you have to always keep in mind. It's like a gift that I'm giving you today, because I always keep this in mind. This is a battle tested 2025 skill test. Okay, we can say this is a battle tested skill test. So the first skill that I'd give you is AI powered research. AI powered research. So I have this app called Grok Beta, which I use a lot. You can use any app that sort of works for you. And that app that you work with, it's very, very interesting, because that app gives you answers for any questions, right? So you can pretty much work with any kind of app that floats your boat. For instance, Grok Beta works for me. You can use any AI powered. I think Veteran Results also has that course that they do, right? With AI, which is again very, very interesting. I use Grok Beta. It's so any app you can use, but I think it's also good to have that approach where you know how to use AI to research. Second, storytelling. Okay, second, storytelling. Grok, Grok. Grok, we'll do it in the AI course. How to operate is also, because you have to know what keywords to punch. It's not as simple as just downloading the app. You also have to know what keywords to punch. So there is a method to the madness, like they say. Second thing, so AI powered research. Second, predictive analysis by storytelling. A good lawyer is always a good storyteller, or an avid reader, or someone who likes books. I knew someone who would probably order in literally 10 to 12 books a month. Even if you can't read them, at least even if you read 2 pages of a book, you can't read in whole, it's fine. But someone who likes stories, who wants to know what happens in a crime thriller. So these are things which make you, because society mirrors the law and law mirrors the society. So it's so important that you're in touch with the realities of life. And stories are the reality of life, right? The world of stories that we create is what happens in our lives. Third, strategizing. Very, very important. A game of chess. You have to know the move I make will have a consequence, a ramification in this direction, left or right. So you have to have some sort of a predictive analysis that, okay, I filed this application. This guy can come up with these limitation, territorial jurisdiction objections, or whatever. So any move that I make will have a counter move, right? It's Newton's law, action reaction. So I have to be able to predict what's going to be that counter and how will I counter the counter. Written statement, rejoinder, replication, FIR, bail, cross FIR. So very interesting strategizing technique. Fourth, very interesting court craft. Stage, act. It's a stage, it's like theater, it's like acting. A good lawyer is always a good actor, because I know where I have to reach. How I have to reach is what I have to play with. So you have to be so present in the moment. When I'm teaching you for 1 hour, I have to forget everybody and anybody, anything and everything. I'm on this job. I'm talking to you for 1 hour. You people are my prime focus for 1 hour. I don't care what's happening outside. I'm here. Half of codecraft is presence, sheer presence, communication skills, how you set up the show, how you engage the judge in what you believe is legally logical for your case at client, and how you convince him to give a favorable judgment. All of this is codecraft. Last but not the least, the fifth aspect, decision making and flexibility. I've put this together. You have to be very decisive. I should exactly know what I want. I know I have to wear a white shirt today. I'm decisive about it. There is no place for people pleasing, indecisive people in this profession. If that kind of a person you are, you will find it very hard to practice, to build an independent practice. You can't please the world. You can only please yourself, and that's what matters. And a good clientele will please you. That's why you're pleasing everyone. Decision making at times takes time. How to reduce that? Simple. Simple. The first thought is always the best thought. Remember this mantra for life. For the first time, if you feel like doing something, that is your gut, that's your instinct. You have to be able to identify, don't second guess. It's fine. Whatever the risk we'll face. Of course, if someone is telling you don't do this, it doesn't mean if you feel like jumping into a cliff, please go jump. That's not what I'm saying. You have your head on your shoulders also. That's also important. But usually the first thought, because then we start second guessing. So usually first thought is your gut, it's your inner voice. Listen to it carefully, it'll tell you. And then it's a calculated risk that you have to take. Gut with calculated risk. That's the best way to make a decision. Have your gut instinct, your first thought, and then an evaluated, calculated risk. If you feel you can take this risk, for instance, I was working with Amarchand Mangaldas. When Sam and Cam wouldn't be there, there was one law firm called Amarchand Mangaldas. At that point in time, I left the job within 6 months. I got a PPO. In fact, it was Mr. Tejas Karya, a sitting judge, who had come to interview me. I'd worked in the law firm. He knew me very well. So he told me, come, Shreya, join us. I was very happy I got the job. But when I reached and landed there, I got a different partner to work with. 6 months passed and I didn't like my job at all. I thought it was very brain dulling. I wasn't going to court enough. I didn't like sitting behind a desk and just being there. I wanted to get to court. My father was also going to court. In general, also, I liked the court procedure, court craft. I wanted to be an arguing counsel. I wanted to be a litigating lawyer. I like talking. I like public speaking. So I realized I'm not happy here. I left my job. It was a calculated risk. I knew that I had the fallback of probably going to Oxford. I'd made my applications. I'd gotten a scholarship. I knew I was going to fund my own studies. Or I would come back and then take over my dad's practice. To some extent, I would have some cases to start with. So if you have somebody in the family, it's a good calculated risk to take. So these are the pros and cons you have to evaluate, right? Calculated risk with gut. You don't like doing something, you'll not be able to do it for 10 years. It's impossible, or 20 years. It's impossible. The only reason, sorry, why I've been able to map this journey is I love what I do. I really, really love it. I wake up every morning to fall in love with the law, and that's why I'm able to sustain. So until and unless you believe in your love for the law, no one else can make you a good lawyer. No one else can. Right? Okay. Last thing which I want to tell you is I want to give you 5 key areas that are new in 2025. 5 key practice areas. First, white collar crimes. Great time to practice ED, immigration, PMLA, economic fraud, siphoning of funds. Fantastic time. White collar crimes, okay? Any international scams, frauds, great practice area. You can join a chamber which is looking at white collar crimes, okay? We do a lot of white collar crimes. It's a very, very fantastically well paying profession. It's great to also learn civil and criminal, because civil monetary recovery coupled with criminal mens rea, intent to cheat. So very interesting domain there. And immigration law, cross border. Second, AI. AI and tech driven litigation. So, cyber security, privacy, data theft, piracy, all of these issues. Okay, AI and tech driven modified IP litigation, I would call this modified intellectual property rights, personality rights. So many people have filed, Ashwarya Rai, Karan Johar, so many people, right? Third, NCLT. Like I said, Companies Act, insolvency, National Company Law Tribunal. This is a great practice area as well. It's emerging, it's new, it's coming up. Fourth, arbitration. Fantastic area right now to start from, but it should be an additive. Don't make arbitration the prime, because it's hard to get cases. Big law firms get them initially. So I would say extra. Environmental law is great, but it's not going to pay you as much. So don't, if you're expecting money, it's not, I mean, it's out of sheer interest you can practice, not more than that. So NGT is not nothing. I mean, National Green Tribunal, I wouldn't suggest as your prime area of practice. You're starting out, you need money also, you need to sustain also. Last but not the least, the fifth area, litigation. Hardcore litigation. We're humans, we're in a society. Litigation is here to stay forever. Civil, criminal litigation, property, criminal matters, This is going to say bank fraud, surfacy. This is going to say you should have litigation at the back of your palm. It's that important. You will never be out of work. Someone or the other will walk in. Even if you don't get the kind of money initially, you will get cases for.
Yes, ma'am.
For
I
the
will
day.
quickly project the screen for our practical exercise.
Oh, yes, please.
Hi, everyone. Can you see the screen? Can you see the practical problem?
Yes, you can just read it out for us quickly.
Just give me. Tara, the CEO of a mid-sized tech startup, is dealing with a contract dispute with a vendor who claims her company breached a 200,000 software licensing agreement. Tara is concerned about the financial impact, potential litigation, reputational risks to her growing business. She's a first-time client and skeptical about legal costs. Rahul, a corporate attorney at a boutique law firm, specializes in commercial contracts and aims to retain Tara's company as a long term client for ongoing legal needs, compliance, mergers, or employment matters. If you were Rahul, what would be your approach?
Okay, so this seems to be a very interestingly simple equation, and this is something which is very common also. I mean, you can experience it with neighbors, friends, family members. In very simple language, I would say there's a $200,000 software license contract that's signed, and it seems like there is breach of that contract, and the vendor is threatening litigation. He's saying, I'm going to go to court, I will drag you, which could mean he's looking at a settlement, he's looking at some sort of a judgment in court. uh, Legal fee could be a big spiral. Okay, so legal fee is something that even Tara would be a little skeptical about to discuss, because it's a very heavy amount there. And of course, a reputational hit. I think that's also something that Tara would really worry about. So, as a good lawyer, I would look at these three, right? So someone said focus on confidential clause. Deepak sir says commercial courts or arbitration. Good. If there's an arbitration clause, look for that. I taught you that yesterday. That's right. So in this contract, but before also jumping there, I think you have to have some sort of pitch ready. If you're Rahul, I would, if I were Rahul, have a pitch. Okay, my pitch for Tara would be something I would prepare in advance. Okay, my pitch could say something like I could have a rapid assessment of Tara's case. Okay, and then I could talk about how she looks at negotiation. I could also look at a litigation shield. I could tell Tara that, look, we will communicate with you and take your non negotiable terms, what you feel, because she seems to also be hit by that financial impact, potential litigation, and reputational risk. So maybe she's very worried that she'll lose business if this goes out in the market. So it's a big problem for her there. And also talk about the fact that, okay, I will have compliance check-ins with you every quarter of a month, etc. You can talk about all of these things because you're looking at a long-term client building, right? So you can ask to talk to the CS, the CA. You can look at the balance sheets, the audits, etc., etc. Right? So I would also say have a joint press statement maybe with Tara. That's one option. Someone just came up with this. I thought it was interesting. You could come out with a statement which says the parties have maturely resolved statements, this settlement, and come out with joint statements. So Tara and Rahul could suggest this for Tara and the vendor. Very interesting there. If there is some sort of a reputational firewall that he wants to build, also immediate risk reduction. Okay, probably there would be a switch check. He'll ask Tara to resign the contract, send emails immediately to the vendor and say, we are not in breach, and say that we have unfortunately been awarded this reputable breach. It's not for us to blame, etc., etc., and come out with a counter claim as Tara's counsel. Okay, so exert pressure on the opposite party. Anyone else? If anybody wants to suggest something, have an engagement letter for Tara ready and waiting, which is your wakalatnama. Ask her to sign it. Meet Tara, greet her, and because she's a first time client, talk about the numbers very clearly, tell her that I have a retainer. You can either engage me as long term counsel. Every month I will look at all your contracts, I will vet them so that there's no dispute in future. I'll take 30,000 per month and I'll do everything for your company start to finish. Either we can take that deal or we can take a one off amount here, talk about the numbers, talk about that phased fee structure, like I said, talk about future roadmap. How would you actually plant a long term retainer and seed it without pressure? Have confidence, okay? That you can tell Tara that, look, these kind of things are common. When it comes to software licensings, we can come up with a good master service agreement, which you can pitch to your vendors each time, saying that this is the template or the standard form that we have. If you have any changes or differences, you can suggest to us. So you can come up with legal, logical techniques and you can curate them literally, okay? Right. Can we take opinion of Tara that whether she wants to do ADR or litigation? Absolutely. You can put out the odds for her. As a litigation lawyer, here you're also acting as a long term counsel. So, very good option to say that, look, offer arbitration. Say that if there's an arbitration clause, we'll invoke arbitration. Say that let's try and first do a pre litigation mediation. You learn all of this when you do the draftings. Can a civil or criminal lawyer handle matrimonial cases like divorce? Yes, Arvinder, sir. We don't have that distinction like a Commonwealth country across the board does. Canada, UK, they have that specialization. We don't have it here. We can, if the lawyer is competent enough, handle it, if he believes. However, having said this, most of the people feel if you're doing matrimonial law, you don't know criminal, or you don't know commercial, or you don't know corporate. This is why I'm saying law is interdisciplinary. Stop boxing lawyers. Very interesting in India. Yes. Okay, Nirja, on to you now. I'm done.
Here, and now I will take over for a little bit and have a conversation with them. All right, so let's unpack everything that has happened. A lot of you had a lot of questions about how you could get to learn more from Shreya ma'am. So, are you one of those students who's eager to learn, and do you want to access premium law courses taught by India's leading legal experts? Are you excited about this opportunity? Do you want to be mentored by some of the best lawyers in the country? Do you yourself dream of becoming one of the top 1% legal professionals in the industry? Do you want to increase your earning potential by 10x? Do you want to get high paying opportunities at top law firms and MNCs, or do you want to build your own independent practices? But do you also lack the guidance, the mentorship, and network required to achieve all of these career aspirations? I know the answer is a yes for a lot of you, and that is why we have something very special for you. Introducing the yearly subscription plan by Betching Results, which allows you access to all of our law courses with a single subscription. Now, this ensures that no matter which area of law you want to build your expertise in, you are mentored by the best lawyers in the country in your niche area. Now, let's look at the top highlights of this plan. You get to access 16 of our live and pre-recorded courses for a 1+1 year access period. So for 2 years, you have complete flexibility. You can learn any or all of our 16 courses. You gain practical knowledge through live and interactive sessions over the weekends. You get to work on practical drafting assignments. You get reading material and drafts that you can start implementing in your practice from day one. And you get to have Q&A sessions with the top legal experts of the country. This is the number one practical course plan that bridges the gap between textbook law and real world lawyering. Now, this is not your typical online course. These are industry expert led programs. What does that mean for you? It means you're not just getting recorded videos to watch on your own like most other courses. In this subscription plan, you will get step by step guidance to go from being a beginner to being an expert. Now, we make this possible through a 4-track module. First, the live lectures track. Forget boring recorded lectures, learn from interactive live lectures, but you still get the recordings of all the lectures for your revision. Second, the assignment track. Work on mini assignments to learn by doing and actually improve your skill set. Third, the online study material track. Best learning happens when you combine your lectures with study material. You will get access to study materials for all the courses. Fourth, the feedback track. You're given feedback on your assignments and your doubts get answered by the experts themselves. This is everything you need to bring actual results in the real world. But who exactly are these courses made for? Let's take a look, shall we? The subscription plan is a good fit for law students, IAS officers, in house counsels, CSES professionals, advocates, judicial aspirants, and basically anybody with a passion for law and a drive to excel. Now, why do thousands of smart legal professionals just like yourselves choose bettering results courses? Let's make a quick comparison, shall we, between this subscription plan and other subscription plans. Other plans, other courses, they're very theory heavy, they have zero practicality. But here at Bettering Results, all of your classes are 100% practical, they're drafting oriented, and real world skills are taught. Other plans and courses have generic recorded videos. Here, you learn live with AORs and experts from top tier law firms. Other courses have no templates or feedback. Here, you get real templates, real assignments, and expert feedback. Other courses have no real mentors. A lot of those course pages won't even tell you who exactly is teaching the course. Here you get lifetime community access, do your recording access, and you will learn from the top 1% of the Indian legal industry. Your mentors aren't just